Mikey, many thanks for doing the interview with PakPassion once again. You know, an absolute pleasure to be speaking with you once again.
Thank you. Glad to speak with you too.
Mikey, we've got the series coming up in the new year between Pakistan and England. England top of the rankings. Pakistan making some movement up the rankings and an improving side. We just wanted your thoughts on what you thought of how the Test series will develop between the two nations. Compared to last year, Mikey, you watched the series very closely in England. You were commentating throughout the series. The Pakistan bowling attack this time around, you know, there's no Amir, there's no Asif there. You know, who do you think, which of the bowlers holds the key for Pakistan?
Well, I think the series being played in the UAE will make a huge difference with what is required from the bowling attack. You know, without the seam bowlers, I think, yes, anywhere in the world you want to have your best seamers with you, but I think in the UAE, the spinners will come into their own quite a lot. You still have Umar Bull, who is an experienced fast bowler, but I think with the spinners side, Ajmal, for instance, who has done so well in recent times, people like that, I think, will carry the brunt of the bowling. I think those are the people that Pakistan will be relying on.
You mentioned Umar Gul there, Mikey. He's somebody who has had his injury problems over the years, never quite been the leader of the pack as far as the Pakistan bowling attack is concerned, but now with more experienced senior guys missing, he's having to lead the attack. What do you make of Umar Gul? Any areas of improvement? Any areas where you think he has improved in recent times?
Well, to be honest, I have not really been too much against Umar Gul. I have pretty much liked Umar Gul throughout the years. Yes, I would have to say that perhaps he hasn't really carried the bulk of the attack as much as I would have liked. I haven't seen him really lead the attack and really be the front row bowler as much as I would have liked. Perhaps I would have loved to have seen a bit more improvement from him. But I think he's a genuine bowler. I think he goes out there and tries his very best every time. He gives 100% every time. And that's the first thing that I'm looking for as far as team bowlers are concerned. He gets injured every now and again, yes, but perhaps that's because of the mere fact that he's giving 100% every time. Umar Gul, under the conditions that they were playing under, would be very, very valuable, is that he has good control. He doesn't bowl a lot of bad deliveries. He won't get the amount of movement that you'll be getting in England. Yes, we all know that. But having grown up and bowled in Pakistan, UAE conditions will not be foreign to him, and I think he'll do a good job.
There's talk of him trying too hard with regards to trying to take 6 wickets every over, Mikey, and sometimes there's a lack of patience there is one of the criticisms with Umar. Your thoughts on that?
Yes, that could be the case, yes. If he had some more help around him, some more people who were taking wickets around him, perhaps that would not be his problem. Perhaps he would be quite content to be just a bowler that runs up and bowls a nice tidy line and length for a longer period of time and wait to see things happening. But if you haven't got a lot of seam bowlers around you taking wickets, you can get yourself into that frame of mind where you think, I am the only one. I have to be taking most of these wickets, so let me try and take a wicket every delivery instead of waiting and gradually building up and taking wickets every now and again.
The England bowling attack, Mikey, last year conditions really helped them. They all worked as a unit, you know, Finn and Anderson, Broad, Swan, they all, you know, they steamrolled the Pakistan batting lineup. This time around, as you say, different conditions. Who do you expect to be the leader of the England bowling attack this time around?
Well, I think when you look at the selection of the squad, that you recognize that England also know that there will be different conditions. They have now included another spinner. Everyone thought it was just Graham Swan, and three or four seamers. They have now included Monte Panesar in the squad. That doesn't necessarily mean that he will play in the test matches, but at least they recognize that he may be required because under those conditions the seam bowlers may not be as successful as they were in England, and I would suspect that they definitely won't be. You saw what happened when England went to India. Different conditions, one day game, yes, different from test matches, but the bowlers were nowhere near as effective in India as they were in England. So I think England recognized that they'll need a bit more help in the department. And although the England bowlers are outstanding bowlers, I don't think they'll be as effective as seam bowlers that is. In
Mikey, we've seen the England think tank use the tried and tested formula of 3 seamers and 1 spinner. Do you think they'll be tempted to go in with 5 bowlers, maybe 3 seamers, 2 spinners? Do you think there'll be a change of plan, perhaps, by Flower and co?
I can't say for sure what they're definitely going to be doing. I would think that they're going to the first test match with the same old formula of just 1 spinner with Graham Swan. If that doesn't work, then you have to rethink their plans. But I think they will go in with the 3 seamers and the 1 spinner initially. You know, obviously they have Panesar on board, they have him in the squad, so that's why they have selected him, to give themselves that option of having 2 spinners and perhaps 3 seamers, or maybe even 2 seamers and 2 spinners, who knows. But I think they'll take it a game at a time and see what happens in the first test match with the old formula they use.
The banter between Pakistan and England fans has already started, Mikey, and a lot of the discussion is around Ajmal versus Swan. You know, a lot of people are seeing those 2 guys as the linchpins for the bowling attacks. How do you see that battle, developing? Swan, such a great bowler, Ajmal doing very well this year.
Well, that should be very interesting, because Syed Ajmal has a delivery that Graham Swan doesn't really bowl, which is the doosra. So that will bring an extra dimension to Syed Ajmal's bowling. And of course, he'll be bowling under conditions which he's familiar with. Graham Swan, I think, will enjoy the conditions as well. But, you know, who will come out on top, who knows? I think it will depend a lot on the support bowlers. Swan has greater support bowlers, so Swan will have better tandems to bowl within, in that he will have a better bowler at the other end to put pressure on the batsman. If you have just a couple of bowlers putting pressure on the batsman and then you don't have as much pressure on them when other bowlers are bowling, that makes things a little bit easier. It's like when you have, you know, a firing squad and all the guns are bullets, and you have a firing squad with just 1 bullet. It's a slightly different situation. So I think it will depend on the support bowlers around them.
Mikey, there was a bit of a bad feeling between the 2 teams last year after events that we've talked about at length and have been reported on at length. Do you think some of those bad feelings will carry across into this new series? I mean, a lot of the England players who played last year will be playing, but a lot of Pakistani players that took part last year, are no longer in the side. I mean, how do you think things will develop between the 2 teams as far as relations are concerned?
Well, I'm not too sure if you could say there was a lot of bad feeling. I think there are a couple of incidents, and one England player in particular who I think stepped out of bounds and got involved in what he shouldn't have gotten involved in. But I don't think the entire England team are going to take that line, and I don't think the Pakistani team will worry too much about what took place in that series either. You know, the ones that were the guilty ones have been proven to be guilty. They have suffered the consequences. I think that a line should be drawn under that, and you move on.
Previous series between Pakistan and England have been marred in controversy, Mikey. We've seen, allegations of ball tampering, the Javed Mirdal, Akib and Roy Palmer incident, and Oval Gate as well. We'll all be hoping that it's the cricket that we're talking about at the end of this series, Mikey. I mean, how do you see the series developing as far as controversial incidents are concerned?
That each series is a brand new baby. I don't think you take what has happened in the past and try and cloud what is happening today or in the future. And I think this series will be just taken on its own as an individual series. And the cricketers should be just going out there and thinking that. The Pakistan team should be going out and thinking, well, I'm representing my country, let me see if I can beat this opposition. They are the number 1 team in the world. If I can beat them, that should push me further up the rankings. And that is what they should be concentrating on.
You're saying England are top of the rankings, Mikey, and that was going to be my next question with regards to pressure. England going away from home, ranked the number 1 test side in the world. Pakistan, as I said at the start of the interview, improving side, but they'll be the underdogs even with the home advantage. Do you think England will be okay in coping with the pressure of going out there as the top ranked side in Test cricket?
Well, that is something that they have got to prove. As we know, England have not done very well away from home in recent times, apart from the Ashes. They went to South Africa, they did not beat South Africa in South Africa. The one-day series just finished in India, brought them back to earth, that's exactly how far they have progressed. When they went to by the West Indies team, which is not a great team by any stretch of the imagination. So they know they have something to prove away from England. So on the floor, with the obviously telling them that, listen, we are the number one ranked team, yes, but we are still have a lot of work to do, and this is where it starts.
Mikey, different eras, different generations, you know, different types of cricket, different tactics. Of course, you played in a different era to the modern era. But, I mean, this England batting lineup is pretty formidable these days. You know, how do you think you and your West Indian colleagues would have, fast bowling colleagues, would have coped against this England batting lineup?
But I don't want to go into all that. That is a bone of contention as to which team was the best team and which team. I'm not going to get involved in all that.
Yeah.
My time was my time. This is their time.
Mikey, Kevin Peterson is somebody who obviously has the tendency to try and frustrate the bowlers. You know, he moves around the crease, comes down at the crease. I mean, that must be quite frustrating for fast bowlers, especially seeing him moving around the crease. You know, what advice would you give to the Pakistan bowlers when he's trying to intimidate them with you know, all those movements?
Well, it's pretty difficult to do anything about it unless you have got some pace. You know, if you haven't got a great deal of pace, he will do that and he will be able to get away with it. Pakistan at the moment haven't really got bowlers of great pace. You know, Umar will have a reasonable amount of pace, yes. But it's up to them to think about ways of getting him out without actually using that extra pace that they haven't got. That is something that they have got to work on. You can't do anything about a batsman moving around the crease like that. It's up to you to find a way of making that being a negative for him instead of a positive for him.
Mikey, coming on to the two captains, Misbah-ul Haq, 37-year-old, experienced cricketer in domestic cricket, hasn't played a lot of international cricket, but in the last year or so he's proved to everybody that he's a good leader. Strauss, you know, what can you say about him? He's done very, very well leading that side. How do you see the comparison between the two captains and how they'll cope with the pressure?
It's difficult to compare how the captains are going to perform on that side because, you know, it doesn't matter how good a captain you are. You can only captain the team that you have got. I think Andrew Strauss has a better team than Misbah-ul Haq. It's as simple as that. You know, Misbah-ul Haq has proven to be a good leader. He's almost 38 years old, so he has a lot of experience behind him. But he hasn't got a lot of class as far as his bowling attack is concerned. He has some good batsmen, yes, and some good young batsmen coming into the team now who should do well. He has Yunus Khan, who is another experienced batsman who should be able to help him a great deal with where the leadership is concerned. But you can only captain what you have got, and I do not think his bowling attack is all that dynamic. So it's going to be difficult to compare Misbah-ul Haq to Andrew Strauss. Strauss is obviously when should be at any rate be a lot more confident going into the series than Misbah-ul Haq.
Just to elaborate on that point there, Mikey, you see the difficulty for Pakistan will be in taking 20 wickets, perhaps?
Yes, definitely. I think that definitely will be Pakistan's problem. You know, if the experienced bowlers like Umar Bull and Syed Ajmal really perform at the top of the game and get supported by the other bowlers around them, they have a chance. But it's going to be difficult to see Pakistan getting 20 wickets on a regular basis on those pitches.
Mikey, my final question, and I can't let you go without this, a prediction for the 3-test series from yourself.
Right? I can't make a prediction, to be honest. I would love to see what the pitch is going to be like first. I would prefer to see how is the pitch placed to think about making any prediction, because if the pitches are going to be very flat, I suspect you might get a few draws.
Mikey, do stay on the line, but I just want to thank you on the recording for doing the interview.